There you guys are. I've missed you guys, my friends, my community, my network. I was out of town for a few days, and it's been a while since I jumped on here and did a live with you. So I am grateful to be on here with you. I'm grateful that I have a new friend that I get to introduce you to here in just a minute. But before I do, I'm predictable. You know I'm going to say this, but it's fun saying it. I appreciate each one of you. And no matter where you're at in your journey, whether you're sky high, just had the greatest thing happen to you today, whether you're meh, somewhere in the middle, it's Tuesday, yeah, whatever, or you're really, really struggling. And we don't minimize that. Struggles are real. Wherever you're at, your worthiness doesn't change. Your worthiness doesn't change based on accomplishments, based on high emotions. You're worthy right here today of love, respect, and success because of Jesus. And you want to know a little more good news? Your story's not over yet. There's more to come. Some of the best things that are going to happen in your life are still to come. Be encouraged by that. That's what we try to do here. We try to bring a little bit of light, a little bit of encouragement in a very dark world. Because you can turn on the news and it's all going to be negative. And there's a lot of negative out there. But in here, hopefully you find mostly real talk and hope and encouragement. Appreciate each one of you. So, enough about that. I want to introduce you to my friend. Katy Suik is a heart-driven trailblazer helping purpose-led entrepreneurs grow their businesses through collaborative ecosystems that spark real momentum. With over 16 years of powerful coaching experience and a certified professional coach designation, she blends deep strategy with soul and a dash of playfulness. Katie's zone of genius lies in refining messaging, designing high converting collaboration events, and creating connection driven campaigns that move businesses forward through the relationships that matter the most. A believer, fierce go getter, and passionate collaborator, she's on a mission to empower entrepreneurs to take aligned, purposeful action that generates leads, revenue, and impact. When she's not working, Katy can be found adventuring with her husband of 22 years and their nearly adult children, taking long solo hikes, snuggling their pets, or getting lost in a good movie or book. Her life is saturated with faith, family, and friendship, and a deep commitment to making the world a better place, one beautiful soul at a time. Katy, welcome to the You Are Worthy Network.
I'm so excited to be here. What an honor. Thank you for having me, Steve.
Oh my gosh, I'm reading that bio, and I'm like, I know you a little. I'm like, she wrote that herself. And I'm thinking she's got to write my next one. I need your help. Like that was really good. It
Thank
brought
you.
out a lot of your personality along with the business side. So I really like that.
Thank you. It's nowadays with AI, it's you would think maybe I did AI, but no, that, honest to God, was 100% me. So yeah, thank you for saying
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome. You know, Katy, one of the wonderful things about starting this network 6 months ago is I've been able to watch God bless it grow to, it could pass 9,000 people today, later
Wow.
tonight. And it's just remarkable. So I don't want to have people assume that everybody watching is from the United States because they're not. So where, but you are in the States. What part of the, no, you're not. I
No.
just said that wrong. So it's good that I corrected myself. What part of the world are you in? Let me just ask that.
I'm not far from the States, but I am in Canada. I'm in British Columbia. They're right in the middle of it. So not in the Vancouver area, which everyone seems to think that is BC, but no, BC is a massive province. But if you took the whole province of BC and you drew a little dot right around the center, that's about where you'd find me in a city called Prince George, British Columbia, Canada.
Oh my gosh, I've heard, yeah, I've met a lot of people from that area, but I've never been to Canada. So, what do you guys do for fun in British Columbia?
Well, I can't speak for myself or my family, but people around here, there's a lot of skiing, obviously in the winter time, because it does get cold. We do not live in igloos. I just want to make that clear. People might think that, up in the bushes, up way up there, we live in igloos. No, we really don't. Yeah, so skiing, I do love walking, and hiking. I don't know, we outdoor stuff in the summer. Just being outside as much as possible is probably my favorite thing. And I'm very fortunate to live on a green belt where literally there's nothing behind us but forest. So we just go hiking through the trails and go down to the creek, and it's quite majestic if we're being honest. It's just a little chilly right now, so I wouldn't use the word majestic right now, but most of the time it is.
Now, in that part of British Columbia where you are, does it snow a lot or no?
It does snow on average. It's not like up in the Northwest, territories or like way up there, but we do get probably the same as I'm going to guess New York or some of those places where you do get snow, or in Central America, I would imagine North Central America would get about the same. I think. I don't know. I'm pretending to know, but I don't actually. So
Oh my goodness. So, your bio told us that you've been married for 22 years. You have two kids, is that right?
three. We have three. Yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
us about the family.
Well, my husband is a Saskatchewan boy, so that's two provinces over. It's the prairies. And I was living over there when I met him, and we moved back to this area. This is not, I'm an hour away from the town I grew up in. And we settled here in 2005. Shortly after getting here, we had our first daughter, who's now 20. I don't like telling people that because I'm actually only 29. And then 18 months later, we had our son, Callan, who is, gosh, she's turning 19 this summer, which also isn't possible. And then my youngest is 15, and he's in grade 10, and I don't know what happened. I legit don't. Any parent out there would know. You blink and you're thinking, what happened? What happened? Yeah, so we live in this area. This city is about 80,000. So we have everything we need here, and we often travel to Saskatchewan, which is again where all my in-laws are, and sometimes we go down to Vancouver or to the island or to Kelowna. So, we have the best of both worlds. We have everything we need right here.
Now, Saskatchewan's a little more rural, isn't it? The province itself.
Yeah, it is. There's a couple larger cities there. It's more it's I, for anybody who's from Saskatchewan, I'm not going to do the whole you could see the dog for 3 days analogy. There are parts of Saskatchewan that are so flat that for me it blew my mind. I remember being 16 and taking my camera because I was blown away. But there's a lot of really beautiful parts there too. Rolling hills. It's quite pretty. The sunsets are incredible. But yeah, we moved back here at the time because this is where the economy was. This is where the opportunities were at the time. And we just stayed put. And here we are.
Well, there you go. So,
Here
so
we
you
go.
mentioned that the kids, grew up like that. Does that mean you desire to go back in time, or are you content at this stage of life?
I'm content. I think that being a parent, what is it what they say? Like the best thing about watching your kids grow up is watching them grow up. And the worst thing is also watching them grow up because
Yeah.
you're grieving the loss of what was. But do I want to go back to that? Oh, no. It was crazy. It was busy. I had three of them, like three kids under five for a while. I don't remember a lot of it, but I cherished it. But they also have just turned into these amazing human beings that we have such good relationships with. So no, I'm content. I'm really proud of all of them, the way they've turned out. But do I want to go back and just get my snuggles again for? a couple hours. Yes, please. But
Yeah.
you know, you know how
Yeah.
it is. It's a bittersweet kind of scenario. But yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking, and I won't get into my story too much because a lot of people know, we adopted three at one time. But like, so I've been a dad. I think this is my 15th year, and I think I've yawned more in that 15 years than the first 42 years altogether. It's just like, I don't know, obviously I'm exaggerating, but I don't know if I've slept since having three kids.
Sleep, what is that?
Yeah,
Granted, they're
yeah.
older now. They all sleep in now, so I can sleep in. But there was a time I was like, wow, I miss my sleep. So I get it.
Yeah,
I do.
exactly, exactly. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna let's get into the time machine for a second. I want to take you back. We're well, I mean, you're only 20, so this is only going back a couple of years. So
Precisely.
I,
I can remember. It was so recent.
you can do this, Katie. We're gonna go back to your senior year. So 2 weeks away from graduation. You've got the graduation date on the calendar. You're marking off the days. You have your cap and gown. You're talking about it with your friends. Maybe you're talking about, doing the beach ball thing at graduation, whatever 17, 18-year olds are doing at that time. Give us a glimpse into your mindset. Are you getting ready to be tremendously saddened that high school's over? You can't wait to get out of there? You can't wait another day for that day to come? You know where you're going to school, or you know what's next? What do you want to do? This 17, 18-year-old girl, all these dreams that she has, or maybe you
Mm.
don't know. And that's okay too. But I'm just interested in the mindset.
Oh, well, at 18 years old, I knew everything. I knew it all. Life was done. No. Um, Actually, what's interesting as you brought me back to that place, what's so interesting is I remember, to be honest, my story's a little different. I went to a boarding school in Saskatchewan. So I had moved away from home. I went there because earlier on in my teens, I don't want to get into all the details, but I needed to go somewhere and find myself. I didn't know who I was. I felt like I was sandwiched between siblings that had all the friends and the good grades, and I was just a nobody. That's how I felt. So fast forward to grade 12 at this particular boarding school. The beautiful thing about that experience was the way that I bonded with people because we lived together. It was in dorms, and it was such an intense experience of my life where I had people all over the country, some even international people came to this particular school. And I remember being so excited to be done, yes, because it was intense getting there, and so sad because I knew that once we all went home, how would we ever see each other again? I mean, if we did, a year might go by, 2 years. Canada's a big
Mm.
country. Most of my friends were in Eastern Canada, and I'm way in the West. So, I mean, I remember the feeling of like just sadness. Like, I don't want to say goodbye to all these people. In terms of my future, I was going to university. I already knew that. I wasn't excited about it because I didn't know what I was going for. It was just sort of the expectation. You go to
Yeah.
university, then you go get a career, then you get married, then you da, 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 you gotta do all the things. Um, I sure didn't know what I wanted. I hoped at the time that I would figure it out. I didn't. I didn't get a degree and figure it out. I didn't figure that out till later. But um, yeah, at the time, I think I was hopeful, but I was so sad because I didn't know if I would get this experience ever again to just be part of this community of people that we just got so close. And yeah, I look back and it was the 2 years that I lived there were the most memorable of my life, and it shaped me so much into who I am today. But yeah, so I would say I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what my career would be, and I just hoped I would figure it out. So.
So we'll come back to the university in a second, but
Okay.
these friends from all over, well, it sounds like mostly Eastern Canada. You still in touch with any of them?
I'm grateful for Facebook because you can be in touch with people, but you know how it is. You might see a post, you might once in a blue moon drop a message. I was supposed to see what was my best friend at the time a few years ago. I believe it was in 2022 in Kelowna. I was down there visiting family, and this person who's from Winnipeg, Manitoba, was supposed to be there. But I don't know if you heard in the news, but there was massive forest fires. We had to flee the area really
Mhm.
quickly. And so literally 3 hours before we were going to meet for coffee, we both had to abandon the city because it was on fire. So
Wow.
yeah, so no, I don't really, to be honest, keep in touch. But it is nice to know there's a connection there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw my college roommate about 10 years ago. And gosh, I have to do the math on that real quick. Yeah, well, it was almost 30 years in between,
Mm.
even when we connected. And it was fun too. But we've
Yeah.
stayed in touch by social media, by text, things like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's at least my experience has been it's rare to stay in touch with somebody that long a period of time. So okay, the university did that foster what you eventually wanted to do as a career?
Well, that's a loaded question. My first year university was here in the city where I am now. And to be honest, I hated it. I absolutely hated it because I didn't know what I wanted. Transferring from high school into university is a culture shock in and of itself. Getting straight A's in high school to getting, I could barely get a C minus in some things. Um, and if I'm being honest, at that age, I was much more interested in the party scene and it just was a year of trying to learn self-discipline and not having a whole lot. But what it led to was I knew I need to just not go to school for a bit. I need to figure this out. I don't know what I want. I took random courses that meant nothing to me, and I ended up taking a 2-year gap period where I went to Australia and New Zealand on my own for a year, which was an incredible experience just to, as a student, work and travel. And then I came home with no money. So I had to move in with my mom and dad, which was humbling and horrible
Yeah.
at the time. And I saved up and I went to university again. But this time I went to Saskatoon in Saskatchewan. And that's when I finished my 4-year degree. So to fast forward and answer your question, nope, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I had a degree in English and religious studies, of all things. I thought, well, I'll take another couple years and maybe I'll be a teacher. I don't know. Maybe I legit didn't know. And then very soon thereafter, I met my husband. So to answer your question, I never did figure it out until fast forward to a little later. But yeah.
So, and trust me, your story sounds very similar to mine.
Yeah.
Except for I did not finish until 38, 39. I went back late.
Oh, really?
So, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I totally understand. So, okay, what did you do early on in your career? I want to know some of
Mhm.
those positions that you held.
Yeah, so when I graduated, again, I had been living in Saskatoon and I was approached by someone to move to a little tiny town called Humboldt in Saskatchewan. And there was a local college there that was affiliated with the university I'd gone to. But my role there was to be a campus chaplain and a student recruiter. They kind of combined it because it's a very small college. So I did both. And it was crazy to me. I was moving out to this random town knowing not a soul. My own family was here in British Columbia, so I I remember thankfully I've always been a deeply faithful person because I'm like I don't know what you have on your agenda, God, but this is crazy pants. Why are you sending me to some random town in the middle of the prairies? However, as soon as I started my job, it was within a month that I met my current husband because he had also moved to that town for a temporary job. And so I can see now why I was led there. But that started my
Mhm.
career, if you will. I started out in like student services and when we married in 2004, we moved out here in 2005. I had my first child, and then I was able to get a job at the local college here in Prince George as a student recruiter. obviously, because I had been doing it before. And that kind of led me into the gateway of the local college. But then I decided to go have two more babies. So I would go on mat leave and come back and go on mat leave. And I worked in student services for a while. I worked in continuing education for a while. I had a revolving door with that place. And then when I was pregnant, or sorry, when I went to go back to work to my recruitment position after having our second, they told me we've had to bump your position. And so that was my moment of almost relief because I hated the job. Let's be real. It was just
Mm-hmm.
meaningless to me. It wasn't what I really wanted, but I didn't know what I wanted. And I just remember my son playing in the sandbox and sitting on the swing and just going, "What do you even want me to do, God? Like, what? I don't even want to recruit. I want a job. I like money. We need to pay our bills." And that led to life coaching as a thing. And so I did my research, and that's where I discovered this world of, oh, I can help people, but I didn't want to be a counselor. So I signed up, I got myself certified, and managed to graduate from that program about a month before our third was born. So it was a bit of a whirlwind in discovering that.
About what year is that?
So I went back in 2008. I did lose that position, so I applied for a different role and I took my courses part-time. And then Carter, my youngest, was born in April of 2010. So we're looking at that 2-year window in there.
Coaching was out there for sure, but it wasn't as prevalent as it is now, right?
Not at all. It was a very new thing, and yeah, the training was phenomenal. I remember thinking as I was learning that it wasn't just learning theory, it was actually making me look at my own life and my own thought patterns and start changing
Yeah.
things. And I was so hooked. I was so interested in this, and I had stars in my eyes right from that very beginning for sure. So yeah,
I'm curious when you I'm trying to think how you just described it, but we'll go with the stars in the eyes.
sure.
Are you specifically referring to mindset, personal development, a little bit of both?
It was a bit of both. There were a few things going on. Some of these concepts, I was just so blown away by just how we tell ourselves stories about our reality and how we suffer as a result. And I was starting to see that you could shift things so easily by choosing to look at things differently. Now, that's taking a giant concept and making it very little, for the sake of
Yeah.
explaining it. But I also had had a lot of conversations with people because they said, coaching is a really lucrative industry. And at the time, it was so new, and you could be making six figures in 6 months, which I have probably heard over and over and over again on repeat over the years. And I actually want to throw up in my mouth when I hear it now because I think it's actually a little bit of a it's what is the word I'm looking for, Steve? It's just an empty promise. I get there's so many variables involved, but anyways, yeah. So when I
Exaggeration
started,
for sure.
it's totally exaggeration, and I also didn't account for the fact that I had three babies at home, and I was starting my business. I started it officially in 2011. I had three babies at home, and I was gonna make my six figures. Anyway, there was a little bit of humility involved in that process, learning how to look at reality, and it was a struggle
Mm,
because let's be real, I was working at the college part-time here and there everywhere, but trying to pay for daycare, but not pay for daycare because three
yeah.
kids, it was a difficult financial time, hands down, for sure. Yeah.
So let me get my mind around this seasonal life. So you've got your coaching certification. We're in 2010, moving out of 2010. So you do still have the part-time job with the university. You've got the coaching. Is that right? You're doing both?
Yeah, like I mean there were periods. Once I had Carter, I didn't officially go back into my role until probably 2 years later, where it was a part-time term position. It was a short-term thing.
Hmm.
But I did a few of those different ones over the next however many years, so I was never permanently there again. But to supplement our income, I found myself going in and taking contracts here and there and everywhere and trying to because if you did the math, like by this time my oldest was in kindergarten, which helped, but I still had to account for the other two. And how do I make my whatever it was, $25 an hour, but then be paying, gosh, it was about 600 each kid in daycare. Like it was just like really, really tough to figure out how to do this because I wanted to be a mom, number one, but I also wasn't the kind of mom that just was happy being just mom. I wanted other, you know, something else as well. So it was the whole thing, was fundamental to my growth as a human being because I was willing to make whatever sacrifices I had to make to be mom first. But there were some prices we paid for the financial constraints that we were faced with for sure.
Well, I mean, it's real. I
Yeah.
remember when we had our kids in 2011, so similar time frame,
Mhm.
that my wife owned her own business and I worked for a nonprofit at the time, and we went from 0 to 3 at once with the kids. And that was a conversation we had, and honestly, it wasn't a very long conversation because the math didn't math. It was like, oh my gosh, like she's gonna have to resign her, she's gonna have to quit her business.
Right?
And it's like it was going to cost us way too much than we could do. So, I mean, it ended up working out and God took care of us, of course, like he always did. But
Of
yeah, I
course.
mean, it's real for sure.
It is.
Um, so you did the coaching for a while. Now, tell me if I'm wrong. Somewhere in here, you're coaching, but I'm assuming you broadened even out of that into other entrepreneur waters. Would that be fair?
Yeah. What I would say to that is right up till 2020, I was not online. I mean, not in the same way that I am now. I was trying to do this locally and I had clients here, there, nothing consistent, or I certainly wasn't doing the six-figure thing. That was a bit of a pipe dream. Um, but in 2020 is when I kind of reached a point. We all know what happened to the world in that year. But for me, it was that I reached a point where I was ready to quit. I was like, is this even worth it? It felt exhausting
Hmm.
to me. Coaching was still relatively new at the time, and it was getting exhausting trying to teach people what it was because nobody buys a coach per se. People buy a solution to a problem,
Yeah.
right? And so what I discovered in that time was I was getting resentful of the business. So I decided, you know what? I reached a point where I either quit and I go do a full-time job somewhere, or I do something very different. And so I was given the opportunity to join a coaching program, which I did. And then that coaching program led me into leadership training, which was one of the most intensive experiences that I've ever had. But it really taught me about leading myself and being really honest and looking in the mirror, which is not easy to do. And that led to, I mean, I don't want to get into all the details, but ultimately, by the time 21 rolled around, I invested in yet another program that taught me how to run summits. So I kind of moved from being just a general life coach with mindset and personal development into more strategy, business building, etc., particularly in the world of summits. There's more to say about that, but I'll stop there because I know you probably have a direction of where you want me to go with that. So,
Well, I kind of chuckled when you said, oh, how did you say it? I wasn't in the, you'll correct me if I get it wrong, but I wasn't in the digital space before 2020. My first thought was anybody?
yeah.
And I know I'm exaggerating when I say that. There was some, but not many, right?
Yeah, no, it was a whole new world, that's for sure, when that happened. But yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
my joke about Zoom is we forget the technology's been there forever. I mean, for those old enough like me, you're only 20, so you won't remember. But uh, Brady Bunch, that was Zoom.
Right?
See,
It's so
or
true.
Hollywood Squares, the game
I
show where
know.
they're yeah. Anyway, so I'm digressing. Okay, so summits, which that's fascinating to me. I'm a part of a collaboration team where we're doing 3 of those this year, and I'm not the facilitator, so to speak, of it, but we have weekly meetings. Sometimes we meet more than once a month. I mean, I just have a glimpse into how much detail goes into that. So my hat's off to you. So you're actually hosting your own events. Is that right?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I learned how to do summits, traditional summits in 21, and I did 7 events in about a year and a half-ish, until the end. Well, maybe it was 2 years. I did my last official summit, where we're talking 25, 30 speakers, I
Yeah.
believe at the end of 2024. So I had done a lot of them. I got very good at it. And you're right. The amount of moving parts behind that
Mm,
thing,
mm.
mm, I, I don't have words. It's quite something. Um, but yeah, that was what I was experiencing at the time, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I would imagine the level of detail and energy. You almost need a vacation after each one of those.
You do. I feel like after each one, it was like having a hangover for a couple weeks. Like it just wiped me clean each time. So you want to make sure if you're doing it that you've got all the pieces in place that you need to make sure that it's worth your time, which I had to learn the hard way that I didn't necessarily have some of those pieces in place. So yeah, all lessons learned though, all valuable lessons at the end of the
Takes a
day.
team for sure, right?
It does. It really does. Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. So you've had higher education, did it maybe a little different than some. That's okay. Got it done, right?
Got it
Got it
done.
done. Student services, recruiter, life coach, event host. You've done a lot at 20 years old. I keep coming back to the 20 years old.
I've got some
um,
incredible skills, Steve. Just
you
saying.
do. I'm impressed. um, but I'm curious, what can you recall a stage of life or a season of life where you didn't feel worthy of love, respect, and success?
Well, that's a deep one. And that requires me to be honest because I think that's what business has been all about for me. Honestly, I think one of the things I don't share with people, I think I shared this with you, I'm not sure, is that I'm actually clinically deaf. So ever since I was the age of 2, I've worn hearing aids. Um, so when you think about the psychology of that, and you think about me growing up in the 80s, okay, fine, I'm not 20. I lied. But back then, there was this element of my hearing loss was considered a disability, and I was, as much as everything that could have gone right did in terms of me coming through that, there were a lot of negatives around, you're always going to be handicapped. You're never going to be, quote, normal, and therefore things are always going to be hard for you. And when you're little, and I'm talking 4, 5, 6 years old, you really internalize that. So unfortunately, when you're 40, 45, 48, which I will be soon, um, those subconscious programs are very difficult to remove and to change. And I've been working at it for a very long time. And my business for many years, probably right up until 2023 even, was all about I need to prove myself. I need to prove to the world. I need to prove to these people that said that I would never be normal. I need to prove, prove, prove. And when you do that, you really set yourself up for crippling disappointment. And so for me, it was on the outside, it looked like I was so successful, right? I had, and I do have an incredible network. I have done a lot of amazing events. Um, on the outside, it's always looked shiny and polished and professional but on the inside, I just felt like I was shattered to pieces. And the worthiness piece was showing up in the form of financial struggle. Because when you don't feel worthy, when you feel like you're never going to measure up and you're broken, even though rationally you know you're not broken, the internal voice deep down says you are, you can never actually make things go the way you want them to in terms of financial. And so I would say that it wasn't just a one-time thing for me. It's been pretty prevalent throughout the entire
Mm,
journey, trying to, I guess, it's one thing to understand something. It's one thing to understand why you think the way you do or what kind of pain is there. And it's another thing entirely to learn how to move out of it. And for me, that's why it's such a deeply personal faith experience because in 2025, um, it was a tough year and it was a lot of everything that was working wasn't working. And it was really for me, I recognize in hindsight that God was breaking me back down to the basics. Let's let go of the ego stuff. Let's let go of the need to prove. Let's let go of, the shiny, the pretty, the professional. I want you
mm.
to understand, this is the message that I'm still trying to like get into my brain, which is that my identity is separate from my business. And I can tell you all day long on a rational level that that's the truth. But when you're talking about that programming piece that's happened for 40 plus years, it's difficult to actually believe that. And so for me, it's been learning how to separate like I am worthy, I am loved, I am precious in God's image. I am you know, a great mom and a great wife, yada, yada, yada. But I'm still, and this is where I'm being really honest, I'm still trying to separate that. I'm still trying to let go of the business and what it does and how it performs, separating that from who I am as a person. I, as Katy Suik, not Katy Suik, the coach, or Katy Suik, the business consultant, the blah, 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 blah. Like there's the worthiness piece is probably the piece that's been more painful than anything else in this process because it's not something where you flip a switch and you feel worthy all of a sudden,
Yeah.
and but I do know that God has called me closer to him in a deep, profound way. And only through doing that can I rebuild. And so that's where the process has just started. Like it's quite new, where I'm coming from a very different place, where it's about um, where does God want me to go from here? And what does that look like? And how can I create the impact and really love on people and shine a light? Whereas before it was, oh my God, my bills, my bills, my bills. And I'm learning that even though the bills can still freak you out sometimes, I'm learning that God always provides. He always has. It's just that I'd like him to provide a little more, please. So that's sort of the story and the back. Yeah, I hope that makes sense because I don't think that I ever reached a destination of feeling worthy all of a sudden. I think that's an ongoing everyday choice where faith, trust, and surrender has become a verb. And it's had to move from my head, intellectually understanding the concept, to my heart, like living it, being it, surrendering every single day, every single moment, because I truthfully don't know what's next. And that can be very challenging. So,
Well, I mean,
mhm.
that few inches from here to here is sometimes the hardest road to travel.
So hard
And
sometimes, yeah.
listening to you, I really sensed um sincerity
Mm,
in that response and even some fragileness.
mm,
And I appreciate that.
mm.
That's how I know your answer is real. And not that other people that I've had on, their answers were real to them too, right? But
Of course.
like I relate to what you're saying. It's not a switch. I think it's that's a journey. It's having more victories each year with it. Uh, a lot of it, in my opinion, is mindset. However, it's rooted in wounds that are still being healed, which is also a process. Not to go too deep into that,
Yeah.
but you're not going to overcome mindset until the wound has been addressed. And that is sometimes, now there may be people that disagree with me and that's fine, but I'm with you. I don't think it's a snap the finger and today I feel worthy. It's a work in progress. and we all are that. So I just want you to know I appreciate the realness of the answer, and I think a lot of people are going to relate to that.
Mm.
Um, so what can you share with us that's right around the corner that's exciting?
Hmm. Well, um, I think that we go through these experiences, we learn these skills, and we go through these lessons for a purpose. I really believe that. And running all those summits, and I even did last year a couple of, I called them pop-up events where it was smaller scale, smaller, like shorter, less speakers. I do love, 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 love organizing these things. And I do love working with people to put it all together. And I do have a knack for it in terms of how to pull all the pieces together. I like jokingly call myself an architect because I'm able to figure out what needs to happen, where, when, how, by whom, etc. So, what's exciting to me is while I don't have a crystal clear picture, and let's be real, do we ever? We think we do, but I'm not sure that we truly do because life has a way of unfolding in ways that we don't expect. But
Mhm.
um, a conversation I started having with one of my mentors last, probably a year ago already. We were talking about summits and how I did like the concept behind them and I understand the value behind them. But I did not like this 30 plus, ego flaunting, come to the stage, show your stuff. Everybody, nobody connects, nobody gets to know each other. There's no like intimacy and growth in a container. So we were having this conversation and I'm like, I don't know what it looks like, but I want to do something different. And so we agreed that it would be a collaboration of some kind where it would be about integrity, number one. It would be about serving people in a way that's meaningful, rather than just, I don't know, I think a lot of us have been burnt by this, it's like what you don't know does in fact kill you, in the sense that you buy into an illusion of something and then you spend all this money. I myself put myself 60,000 US dollars in debt and I'm Canadian. So if you do the math on that, you probably don't want to know. So because I always thought that's the answer, that's the answer, that's the answer. And so you can imagine the stress that put on my family, my marriage, but it's good in the sense that that lesson has brought me here. And I've joined forces now there's a core group, five of us as a core group that have been talking since last summer about what's called the Clients and Cashflow Co-Lab. And what we're doing is instead of just throwing on another event and just, trying to strut our stuff and all of that. We are each genuinely bringing something unique to the table. We all have different areas of expertise, and we want to create a room where people come together for conversation and the word that I love, and you might have guessed this, is collaboration, because it's teaching people how to reconnect as humans. Because in the world of AI, a lot of us have forgotten how to do this. And also with AI, content, there's so much of it. I don't think that producing content isn't going to get you clients anymore the way it would have 5 years ago. So anyway, we are doing this event, and the reason I'm so passionate and excited about it is because it's coming from the ashes of the pain and the heartbreak and the struggle that I've been through over the last couple of years. And I'm joining forces with people that I know really, really care, who really want to help make a difference. So it's designed to help people understand what's going to work in 2026 going forward, and how do you serve with real humanity, at the core and integrity instead of just throwing up another funnel and hoping and praying. And anyway, so this is something that's born out of a very difficult journey. And I already know, I sense this is God doing something bigger than I understand yet. So the event itself is happening March 4th to 6th. So if anyone wants to know about it, please reach out to me. I'm happy to send you the details. Um, but what I want to say is it's not an event, it's actually a movement. And we're getting behind something that we're really passionate about that's going to turn into something that's going to be more than just the event. It's going to be opportunities for collaboration. It's going to be, I don't even know what it's going to be yet. That's up to God. But we're all very excited, and it's been such an honor for me to really lead this thing and see it come to life because we've been talking about it for a while and planning it
Yeah.
for a while. We, in fact, postponed it 3 or 4 times because the timing wasn't right, but now it's coming. So, ready or not, here it comes.
Here it comes. Okay,
Here it comes.
so March 4th through 6th, tell us the name of the event again and where they
Yeah.
can learn more about it.
Okay, so it's called the Clients and Cashflow Co-Lab. We use the word co as in CO and then capital LAB on purpose because we're not here to preach at you and you write down some notes that you never do anything with. It's a lab, meaning we're coming together in a lab to work with you to directly apply what you're learning to your own business so you can implement right away. So it's very action oriented.
Yep.
If you just want to go and get inspired and take notes, I probably wouldn't recommend that you come. Like you want to move, right? Um, to find this information, I suggest just reach out to me. I think you're putting my social media handles here. Yeah. You can
Yes,
find me on
exactly.
Facebook, you can find me on LinkedIn, you can email me. I'm more than happy to drop the link for you to join us. Yeah, like that's probably the easiest way, honestly.
Yeah, we'll definitely have all your points of contact, socials, in the show notes. That does sound exciting for sure. So reach out to Katy if you're interested in that for sure. Um, Katy, what what words of encouragement would you leave our viewers with today?
Oh man. I love what you're doing here, Steve, the You Are Worthy Network, because I think all of us, by human nature, experience not feeling worthy. And what I want to say is, I even today, at nearly 48 years old, still have those moments or those feelings of unworthiness. Like, can I really do this? Who do I think I am? Am I really cut out for like it never ever ever ends. But I would also say that my identity is not my business, and I have to tell myself that a lot. So for you, I would say you are worthy. If you have a business, awesome, congratulations, but please don't attach it to your identity and who you are because as a human being, as a soul, you are worthy with or without your business. And that's probably what I would want to say. Please just know that from the bottom of my heart, your worthiness is not attached to anything you can do, and there's no performance involved. You just need to be who you really are.
I'm writing that down. Your business is not your identity. Be who you are. I love that. Katy, this has been tremendous. I I really I think your sincerity, your warmth, and your brilliance came shining through today.
Well, thank you.
And I'm grateful that our paths have connected. And I think a lot of people are going to be encouraged by what you had to say today. So I'm looking forward to seeing the responses to your interview. But I just really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being our guest today. It's been incredible.
Uh, Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity, honestly, to be able to share my story because I do believe that if we keep the light to ourselves, nobody else benefits. So
Mm.
I'm really grateful to you. Thank you, Steve.
Oh, you're very welcome. Guys, your identity's not connected to your job, it's what you do. You, even today, if you're praying about something that you've wanted for a long time, or you're working, performing to something you want to achieve next, those are good things. I'm not saying quit doing them. But what I want to remind you of, and I think Katy would agree based on what I've heard, you're worthy right now. You're worthy right now. I hope those things come true for you. But even if they don't, you're worthy
Mm.
right now. And you'll be worthy tomorrow too. So be encouraged by that. I'm grateful for each one of you. I'm grateful for Katy. Until next time, you guys have a great evening. God bless.